Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Los Banos today. I'm Bruce E. Rivers, and we're here today to interview a gentleman that's running for 5th District Supervisor of Merced County. His name is Scott Silveira. Is raised in this community, went to Dos Palace High School, and has been on the Los Banos City Council for almost the whole time I've lived here. But what we want to do today is we're going to talk to our friend Scott and find out his vision for this community and what we're doing as he steps up this ladder. And Scott, tell a little bit about who you are. Introduce yourself to the people. Look over there.
All right. First off, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Pastor Bruce and to Dave for allowing me this opportunity to kind of get my message out there. So let's get that off the table first. Okay. I want to thank you guys. I'm very much appreciative. Mm-hmm. So a little bit about myself. Born and raised in Los Banos. Went kindergarten through 8th grade here in Los Banos. Charleston Elementary, which is what Westside Elementary is now, used to be the old junior high. That's where I went to junior high. Then my family started the dairy in 1990, and that gave me an opportunity to move on to the dairy with my brothers, and I went to high school in Dos Palace. One of the things that I'm most grateful for about going to Dos Palace is that's where I met my lovely bride, Brooke.
There you go.
High school love stories, my high school sweetheart. We've been married now for 15. We just celebrated our 15th year wedding anniversary. We have 2 kids. My son Devin is 14, and my daughter McKenna is 12. They're both at the Creekside Junior High right now. Okay. So excited about that. And so a little bit more about myself. I've been on the city council since I got elected in November of 2010. So when I finish out this term, I'll been on the city council for 8 years. And it's been a very humbling experience. As somebody who came from the private sector, being in the dairy business, and then you get into government, things are run very differently. So it's quite an adjustment. So been on the city council. I'm involved in numerous organizations throughout the community, and then I have God blessed me with a special talent of auctioneering, which has allowed me to be able to give back to my community in more ways than maybe some other folks can. I'm probably doing roughly about 30 auctions a year now, and I will tell you that I don't charge for any of those. That's part of my community service to donate back to. Yeah, exactly. And so and it's allowed me to, I get to interact and meet and discuss issues with a lot of really diverse group of people. So I'm pretty excited about it. Volunteer fireman. I became a volunteer fireman at the Dos Palace Y Fire Station in 1996 when I was 18, and in 2016, I retired from. I know I'm pretty young to be retired, but with all the other stuff I'm involved in, I didn't have the amount of time that I would have liked to dedicate to the fire service, but did 20 years as a volunteer fireman.
Wow.
So, and I've seen a lot of changes. When I first started as a volunteer fireman, you went down to the station. They had a vote whether they wanted to let you in or not, and as long as you passed the physical from the county, you were set. You're a volunteer fireman. Today, these guys have to go through a lot of rigorous training before they ever actually get to go on a call. So, but I'm proud of my time there. I was the volunteer fire chief at Dos Palace Y Station for 2 or 3 years, and then I moved over to the Los Banos station here on H Street, Station 71, and I became the volunteer chief there. And when I retired also from being the volunteer chief. That allowed me the opportunity to be a part of the Merced County Fire Chiefs Association, which I was the president of for 4 years. So I am. I feel like I have a very diverse background in all the different organizations that I've been in. You guys know I was on the Merced County Spring Fair Board for 11 years. I just resigned from the fair board this year. Just with everything going on with the campaign, I just didn't feel that I could dedicate. I believe in I can do 2 or 3 things really well. I'm not going to try to do 10 things at 90%. That's just not the way I operate. So I just recently resigned from the fair board. I'm a member of Knights of Columbus. I'm a member of Odd Fellows. A lot of good groups that do a lot of good for our community.
I've watched you over the years and been at city council meetings, and I appreciate your dedication to the community. And like I said, when I started reading more about you, the fire department and all that, I said, this is a great guy. But I want to know what you're talking about. I want to know what you're doing. I've already interviewed one young man, and I've got to interview some more. And something you said to me today in our preemptive before we get started about joining to get into the arena, join a commission. Join a commission so you see how government works, so you understand the language, so you don't come in as a novice and just mess things up. And that was some good advice for some of you young people or even older people looking to be of service to your community in the political arena. Personally, me, I'm not, everybody knows I'm a pastor, but just to do that you told me some great advice today to share with I wanted to make sure I shared that. Let's talk about your campaign. What's your vision?
Well, listen, it's a mindset, Las Banos, there's a lot of folks here that commute out of our area to go to work. And I think that if we're going to change what Las Banos is going to be, we have to make a very strong concerted effort into bringing livable wage jobs here. And we can't just talk about it. When I first got elected, I sat on, it was called McKedco. It's debunked now, it's no longer in existence, but I got appointed to it, and there was a gentleman there that I'd known for a long time who said, if all you're going to do, if you truly want to do economic development, you have to be willing to put money into it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just talking about it. Mm. And that's something that I've said to a lot of folks out there is I would rather go down as the guy who looked you right in the face, Pastor Bruce, and said, listen, I'm going to invest some of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars into finding out if we have a project here. Mm. And maybe it doesn't work out, but I would rather be doing something than doing nothing. Mm. And so, that's obviously one of our big key points is, if you look at my campaign slogan, a strong voice for the West Side, how do we make sure that the dollars that are coming out of our community, that we get our fair share back and invest into this industrial park that's been talked about. I think, at build out, this industrial park could mean 10,000 jobs. And let's face it, I know I'm on the city council now, but you create 10,000 jobs, that's not only going to affect Las Banos, but Dos Palace, Santa Nella, Gustine, for the whole county. So it's kind of one of those things. If we bring up the West Side, we bring up the whole county. So I think that's super important is economic development. I'll share my scenario. And these are just kind of numbers I have in my head. You have a family that spends 4 to 5 hours a day commuting over the hill to go to work, and they're making $100,000 a year.
Come on.
Okay, and so, but the opportunity cost is that they're in their car 4 to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. They don't get all that time to spend with their family. The wear and tear on their vehicle, the cost of fuel, all those things. So that same family living in Las Banos, well, they can only make $50,000 a year. So obviously, making that other $50,000 a year is still worth it for them. The opportunity cost of giving up time with their family, all those things, it's still worth it for them. Mm-hmm. How do we get that number closer? Let's be real about it. Do I think that we're going to have the exact same paying jobs in our county and our district that you have over in the Bay Area? We're probably not going to get there, and if we do, it's not going to be for a long time. But how do we get that number to where that family could be making $75,000 a year?
Good
and
man.
Now they have to ask themselves, is that additional $25,000, is it worth it because of the time I spend away from my family, the amount of money I'm spending on fuel, the wear and tear on my vehicle? So how do you do that? How do you create livable wage jobs here? How do you, when you look at this thing, and I talk to people that are a lot smarter than me. You guys know my background. I'm a dairyman, right? I'm a dairyman first.
Milkman.
I forgot to mention that earlier.
Milkman, that's right.
And so I'm not an expert in all these other areas, but the one thing that I promised my constituents that I would do is I will go talk to the people that are the experts in that area, because they're going to help shape and inform my opinion on these issues. So how do you start to, we're competing, it's hard enough to do business in California. We're all aware of that, right? So how do we, instead of competing with everybody, how do we look at those areas that, ag is still a big part of our community. It's huge. It's just that ag has, as farmers and dairymen, we've gotten better and better at what we do, so it takes less and less people to do it. It's still a big part of our community. It's still a big part of our tax base for the county, but they don't have the jobs that they did. So, but how do we focus on attracting those businesses here that are very specific to ag? How do we focus on getting those businesses that they need to be here? They need to be close to their consumers. So, and what can we do as government? So some of the things I think is, listen, I get it. There's never been a fee that people love, okay? But government ultimately needs a certain level of fees to operate. You need to charge those fees, but then you need to get out of the way a little bit. Charge the fees that are necessary, but get out of the way and let the private sector come and do its thing. One of the criticisms we get here in Los Banos is all the 99-cent stores and the dollar stores and that. And I'm opposite of it. I say, listen, folks, there's a reason why they want to come here. They have a business model that says that they will be successful here. And so why would we want to punish a business to want to come here? I think as long as, it's not some of the taboo areas in life, man, if they have a business plan and they can be successful, bring them on. Let's bring them here.
I see you at the dairy on different videos and different things, and I know that's real work. You've shared with me 4 or 5 in the morning. You got up and get out with those bovines to provide things. And like you said, at Business Park, we got all this other stuff. I've watched this stuff over the years. They talk about, Mr. Costa was here, talked about transportation, talked about jobs, talked about the infrastructure and things that we need to repair. I know that's your heart. I pastor a church in Dos Palace, and the roads sometimes are like, wow. And so, like you say, our tax money goes in, and it goes over there. No slight on you, Merced. No slight on you. But we need to send some of that back to do the things we need to do here. I know that's your heart. And I appreciate that. I hear it. I see it in you and all that you do. And I'm grateful for that. And I know people are. District 5, if you don't know, that's the west side of Merced County.
Absolutely.
If you're watching this, you probably live here, Los Banos, Dos Palos, Gustine, Santa Nella, and even Little Volta.
It picks up
part of Gustine.
Part of Gustine. The city of Gustine is actually District 4, but some of that county unincorporated areas are District 5.
Correct.
And so I just want to touch bases when you brought up about our roads and Measure V. We passed Measure V, and I'm not a big tax guy, but we needed to do something locally, and we passed Measure V, and that allowed us to become a self-help county. And what that means is, whether you think it's fair or not, I don't think it's fair, but this is what was set before us. The state of California, they unless you're a self-help county, they won't fund projects.
Wow.
Unless you have skin in the game, they will not fund projects. So Measure V helped us. It was crafted so that it would help the local jurisdictions. The city of Los Banos, the city of Dos Palos, Gustine, all the cities on the west side, they get a portion of it. There's a local split, and then there's a regional split. And so with that, it's allowed the county, the cities, to now have a funding source to be able to fix these roads. And we went through the drought the last time, and it put a Band-Aid on a lot of the problems. You didn't see a lot of the potholes come up because we had no rain to make them show up. Then we went through the rain we had last year, and then all these roads started to, so we're a little bit behind 8 ball. That's it, the bottom line, we're a little bit behind. But right now, the county and the cities are currently going through, and you may have seen them driving around. There's a van that's driving around, and they're taking inventory of all the roads. It's got all kinds of cool computer stuff that measures the roads and the conditions. And there's going to be a plan that comes forward that shows which roads are in the worst shape, which roads need the most repair. And then it becomes incumbent upon the elected officials to designate how we're going to fix those roads. And what I want to be able to do is tell people, listen, your road is on the list, and because this measure is a 30-year measure, so not all the money's coming in one day. So it's going to take some time, but let people know, hey, this is where your road is on the list, okay? And so this is where we're going to get to. But at the same time, let's be logical about it. You have one road that is in complete disrepair that it's going to take, let's make a number, it's going to take $100,000 to fix this road, okay? But then you have these 5 roads over here that if we put an overlay on them at $20,000 a piece, we're going to get another 20 years of useful life out of this road. So then that's where you got to make that judgment call. Is it worth fixing the one road to tip-top shape and then have these other roads still continue to deteriorate? Or do we put this one back a year, fix these 5 roads, get them where we get 20 more years out of them, and then the following year go to the... So we have a mechanism in place, but there again, strong voice for the west side, making sure that we get our fair share of it. Is there's money that's collected from here, making sure that, listen, and it's not just District 5. If I'm District 1 supervisor, I want to make sure that we're not fixing all the roads in one district first. It should be, you're never going to get dollar for dollar, because a project might cost X amount this year over here and a little more over there. Just try to keep it somewhat even, that we're taking care of everybody. It's a tax that's collected countywide. We want to take care of everybody.
And let me say this bottom line, if you support your elected official, when he looks out and sees constituents like here in Los Banos, when things come up and we pack the room. We pack the room for our pet peeves and all that stuff. And then sometimes things go by and nobody shows up. And you got to make the decision based on your own personal thing because nobody said anything. So I suggest we all get behind whoever's elected. We want to give you this. That's what Los Banos Today is about. We want to give you this information so you have it up front so you can make a conscious decision on how to support when the people speak. We are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Exactly.
So I think that about you, Scott. Let's you pretty much given me your vision, your ideals, your goals. What else you want to say? What else you want to tell the people?
I want to say why I'm running. I'm vested in this community. I've been vested in this community my whole life. And as a kid growing up in high school, I had friends that they couldn't wait to get out. They said, hey, I'm out of here. As soon as I get off to college, I'm moving. I'm never coming back. I was never that guy. I love the community that I live in. I think that we have so many great things to offer. And I'm going to continue to fight for it. So that's why I'm running, because I believe in this community. You know, and I have 2 young ones at home. And I've told my kids, since they were old enough to understand, you're going to go to college, and I want you to go get a job where you have to work half as hard and make twice as much money as I do.
Of course.
But here's the problem. If my kids hold true to that, which I think they will, there's not a lot of opportunities for them to come back home. They're going to have to go somewhere else. Unless you're involved in a family business and you're going to take over the family business or something, then there's maybe opportunity. But it's how do we change that? And I'm not willing to sit here and do nothing, and I'm not willing to sit here and just take it. I want to fight for it. I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can as elected officials to bring livable wage jobs here. It's great, the service industries, God bless them. I utilize them all the time. But you're not going to make great livings just doing service jobs. We need to bring some kind of industry here. It's a big deal. And I just want to touch on a couple other of my points.
Come on.
Public safety. Listen, I'm proud to say that the Sheriff Vern Warnke has endorsed me. I've endorsed him. Nobody's running against him. And my thoughts on it are he's a sheriff. That was what he chose to do. He ran for the office of sheriff. Again, as the elected officials, it's our job to find the money necessary to give the sheriff the tools that he needs to do his job. It's that simple. If the sheriff comes to the Board of Supervisors and he says, this is what I need to be successful, well, then it's our job to try to find it. You're talking, the county's overall budget is somewhere close to about $750 million a year.
Wow.
And of that, only 30-something%, 33, 34%, and those might not be exact numbers, but they're pretty close. 34% of that is actually money that the Board of Supervisors has discretion on how they spend it. So a lot of it comes from, we're a system of government where the federal government mandates programs and there's funding that comes along with it. The state government mandates programs and there's funding that comes along with it. The county's job is to administer those programs, but you really don't have a say in how those dollars are being spent. There's money that's allocated to you to do those programs. So you have to be frugal, and this is one of the things. I'm a fiscal conservative. I do not like spending more money than we make. But at the same time, being in business, you have to understand that sometimes you have to spend money to make money. I'll give you an example is every day when I feed my cows, I'm driving somewhere in the neighborhood of about $150,000 to $200,000 setup, a tractor with a feed wagon. Well, man, if I didn't have to spend that kind of money, I wouldn't. But if I want to feed my cows a nutritionally balanced TMR, total mixed ration every day, those are the tools that I need to do it. And in the long run, that's what it's going to benefit me. That's going to cause my cows to make more money. They're going to bring more dollars back so that I can pay for that equipment. So it's finding that happy medium. You can't just say, well, I'm not spending no money ever. No, you have to make wise investments. And I think I have a good track record of doing that. I think that I wanted to just kind of go back and touch bases on, telling people about starting out in the planning commissions, volunteering your time. One of the biggest challenges I had when I ran for city council, I got elected. I'll tell you folks, it took me 6 months just to understand the lingo. Government speaks in a lot of acronyms, and that takes you a while to get your head around it. And so my story I'll share with you is we're sitting there and we're going through a budget review, and our it was a guy that we brought in. He was a hired guy. He's kind of like our finance director, and he was helping us out with some stuff. And he sits there and he talks in this meeting. He talks about Gatsby. Gatsby says you have to do this, and Gatsby says you have to do that. And finally,
Who is Gatsby?
I pushed my button. I said, "Who's this Gatsby guy? And why do we have to listen to him?" Right? Gatsby is Governmental Accounting Standards. It's an acronym. So, and I'll continue on with it. So there's that learning curve. So get involved at the local level. Get involved in some of these things where you're volunteering your time, and it gives you a good start to understand government, how it works. And I will tell you, then maybe one day you run for city council, it gives you the opportunity to hit the ground running and really affect some change. Versus with me, I will say it took me 6 months to a year to just kind of figure out how this thing actually works, because it's very different than the private sector. I don't have to. It's a democracy, but at home, you make a decision and you go with it, and you're making, multiple thousands of dollar decisions every day, and you don't have time to wait for a council meeting to get at least 2 of your other colleagues to go along with it. So that's quite the learning curve, and so I would suggest to anybody is get involved, and then to take that one step further. You mentioned earlier about going to the council meetings, going to the Board of Supervisor meetings, going to these different commission meetings, and let your voice be heard. Because what happens is, now if we only, I call it the vocal minority. There's a few people that come, and if we just listen to what those folks have to say, it's not indicative of what everybody else is thinking. And I get it. I understand. People are busy in their lives, and they're out there trying to make a living and try to provide for their families. But if you're passionate about an issue, get a hold of one of your elected officials. Something I pride myself on is I know that I'm not liked by everybody, Pastor Bruce. It's almost impossible. But I don't care who the person is. If they take the time to reach out to me, I will get back to them, whether it's through a phone call, through an email. And I found it to serve me very well. And the reason I say that is I'm the type of person, I want to try to find every way to tell you yes before I have to tell you no. And I'm going to do my due diligence, and we're going to look into it. And you sometimes you have to make that phone call back, and you have to tell folks, there's just nothing that we can do here. But here, this is the reason why. And when it's over, they may not exactly like the answer, but they respect it, and they respect you for helping them get to that point.
Well, they've had access to you.
Yes.
And anybody that's concerned about their community, and my kids are grown and gone. I got grandkids. They were here for a short time, and so I was at school a lot. When you're a grandparent, and then my daughter was working and doing things, so we filled in the gap. I have a son and a daughter here still with 4 young grandchildren, and I'm concerned about all the things that affect them. As a grandparent, you hear things, and so you got to be or have access to the leaders, the movers, the shakers, to say not for just me, but for the benefit of all the children in Los Banos and our District 5 area, because that's where you are now. You're moving up the ladder. Like I said, I appreciate all I've seen you do. Scott, you got any last comments?
I just, first off, I want to say thank you to just the tremendous amount of support that I've gotten so far. We just had a sign drop. You see the sign here. We just had what we called a sign drop day this past Saturday, and we had just a tremendous amount of people come through, pick up their signs, which then led to some folks maybe not in town, and my phone's been going crazy for the last 2 days because people want to be out there and they want to be supporters, and I'm excited about it. And you have people that it takes money to do these things, and that's the reality of it. And I've just been so blessed. Our contributions have come from all across our district. I've had $5 and $10 contributions, and I've had larger contributions, and I'm taking that. I shared with the folks that made some of those larger contributions. That's going to help me get my message out to everybody. And that's the one thing I want to leave you guys with is this. I'm running a campaign that is going to represent everybody. I don't care whether you're the most influential person in town or you're struggling to get by. I want to be that strong voice for you. I want you to feel that I am your county supervisor, that you can call me, and I can help you just as much as I can help the next person, because I'm gonna be that strong voice for District 5. And so we're gonna continue the good fight, and we got some cool stuff coming up, and we just started walking precincts. Every Saturday between now and the election, we'll be out walking precincts.
And the election is when?
June the 5th.
Okay.
June the 5th.
Listen, I appreciate Scott for coming by and all the other candidates that have signed up to come by and sit down and talk to us about their visions, their dreams for our community, which then extends to broader. But let me tell you, that's what we're about here on Los Banos Today. We're giving you your news now, giving you what's going on today in your community. And I can't say enough thank you to Scott for stopping by today, and want to tell you more. If you come back, you need to some more stuff, maybe you forgot, come on back by. Give us a call, you and all the other people. Come back and keep us updated. Keep us doing. That's what the morning show is all about. You know, every morning we need some new stuff to talk about. Right. And we want to talk about the positive going on in our community. We'll let the other people do the negative. From Las Vegas.
Can I just put one more plug in is visit my website, SilveiraForSupervisor.com, and that you can keep up to date with all of our going-ons, where we're going to be, what we're doing. We got some pretty cool content coming out, and so if you join our website, you can stay up to date with everything. It's SilveiraForSupervisor.com.
You heard it right here, Los Banos Today. I'm Bruce C. Rivers. Thank you for watching.